Welcome inside episode 449 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains during a stretch of 3 straight days without Sens hockey, but a pair of first-round picks changed area codes between Belleville and Ottawa.
Yeah, lots of roster moves happening, even some moves from the ECHL all the way up to the NHL. And Ross, we're burying the lead a little here, but today's guest, our interview for today's show, from ESPN.
ESPN, the mothership. It's Kristin Shilton who will join us. She's been covering the blue team for the last 5 years, but now is taking a league-wide approach. We'll get into her career, what it was like working with me, and a whole lot more. Today's episode is brought to you by Stat Hero. Stat Hero is the first of its kind daily fantasy sports platform where it's you versus the house in a head-to-head fantasy matchup. Winner take all. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/hockey and use promo code hockey for a 100% deposit match. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Today is Thursday, December 9th, and Pilsy, the Senators stepping onto the ice for practice today. No Lassi Thomson, but Jacob Bernard-Docker will get his next opportunity to shine at the top level.
This is an interesting move, Ross? I almost feel like this is kind of a lateral move. Sure, Lassi, his confidence and his play, he was getting overwhelmed at the NHL level. But I'm not sure bringing JBD up really moves the needle too much either, right? They're kind of at the same level, I would say. But I guess you're at a point where the Ottawa Senators are just like, hey, let's give everyone a shot here. Let's see what works. And let's give our first-round talent and defensemen a chance to play in the NHL here because we certainly need them, and it's not like there's better options waiting on the extras for that decor.
Let's start with Lassi Thomson and the demotion after playing 11 games with the big club. He had 3 assists during that span. The 3 assists actually came in a 4-game stretch at the beginning of his call-up. He also played the most minutes by a Senators rookie defenseman in their debut when he played 22 and a half minutes against the LA Kings. But since then, the ice time dwindled after that. The only other game he played over 20 minutes was against Calgary, where he was a -3. That's a game we do not talk about on this show. We don't talk about that.
They played Calgary this year?
Huh? Yeah, huh? Interesting. I don't remember that. Definitely not. Right before the COVID. Recall. Since the COVID shutdown, though, Pilsy, he's played in 8 games, and he's been -1 in every single one of those games. Now, I'm not saying the plus-minus will dictate how I feel about this young defenseman, but it's more so the ice time. He goes from 19, 19, 18, 17, and after those games, he was down between 10 and 14 minutes for the rest. So I think this is just an opportunity for a young defenseman to go down and reset a little bit. Go play meaningful minutes, kind of like what they did with Drake Batherson in his first call-up. So he gets a chance to go down with this added confidence. Hopefully he keeps it because it was dwindling at the NHL level, but hopefully you go down into an AHL setting and really continue to get the ball rolling. But what would your overall thoughts be on Lassi's 11-game sample size?
I mean, really the fact that he was able to just keep up in an NHL setting at his age and with his pro experience is pretty incredible off the bat. So let's give him a round of applause for just being able to do that. Yeah, exactly. And like you said, the biggest minutes debut for an Ottawa Senator. So that's a big deal. And he played pretty well in that game. Defenseman, yeah. Well, I bet probably a forward hasn't played over 22 minutes in their debut.
Although, weren't we at Colin White's debut? I feel like it was in a meaningless game before the 27 playoff run. And you think
he played more than 22 minutes?
I'm pulling it up right now. He played so many minutes.
Wow.
Well, it was his second game. So his first game was against Detroit. He played 7 minutes. In his second game in the NHL, he played 20:06.
Man, yeah, that's a lot, especially for a centerman. Damn.
Anyways, that's off topic.
Yeah, no, back on track. Back to Lassi Thomson. Yeah, so first off, it's great that he was able to even make that leap and that he's able to prove to the coaches, you're better off putting me in than some veterans that have played hundreds of NHL games. So that in itself is very effective, and that's very positive. But realistically, Lassi Thomson should be on a top pair in the AHL this season. Like developmental wise, that's probably where you want him. Now, I'm not saying that he never should have got called up because, like I said, he was outplaying veterans on that NHL decor. And if you're playing to win the games, he gave you a better opportunity than most of those guys. So that's fine. But his confidence was dwindling, and you don't want that to happen. Like, you don't want to overwhelm someone who, like, he's a first-round pick, right shot defenseman. There's a lot invested in him. You don't want to overwhelm and kind of crash him down so early. So I think it's good he's coming back to Belleville. I thought him being paired with Hetherington in a third pair role would really help because they have chemistry, and Hetherington looked okay. And Troy Mann said it himself. He's been their best defenseman before he was called up. So obviously that's a guy that's playing with some confidence now. So I thought the pair of them would do all right. That didn't really work out. But I think JBD, he deserves a similar opportunity as Lassi, right? Like I said, they're kind of on the same projection right now. They're at the same point of their game, but JBD can play a more efficient, quiet game. Whereas Lassi, if he's playing well, it's probably because the offense is clicking and he's getting shots on net, he's getting involved in a play, where JBD doesn't really need to do that. So I think he's going to be able to kind of fly under the radar and just do all the little things right here in a third pairing role, where Lassi, maybe that's not quite his game yet.
We'll get to what the practice lines were today, although the Senators do not play until Saturday afternoon when they host the Tampa Bay Lightning before heading down to the Sunshine State in Florida for games against the Panthers and Lightning. So Lassi goes down. He's the 2019 first-round pick, 19th overall, just to bring up their 2018 first-round pick, 26th overall, in Jacob Bernard Docker, who's been exceptional by all accounts down in Belleville, doing what he can to improve the parts of his game that looked a little, I'm not going to say poor, because it wasn't so much a weakness, but there was just a lack of...
He was just inexperienced, I would say, right?
Exactly. A timidness of his game, where I thought he was kind of too quick to roll off of checks and move the puck backwards just to retreat, where I want to see him emphasize more. I want to see him a little more assertive at the NHL level because his skill set is there. This kid can play and he can move the puck. And we still, I know I do, I shouldn't speak for you, but I still see him as a guy who could complement a top four defenseman, either Sanderson or Chabot in 2 or 3 years' time. So why not get him into the lineup and into the mix? Although, again, like we said, we'll get to the lines. He's outside looking in right now, but you don't call up JBD unless you're going to play him, right? There's no chance that he's going to be on the outside looking in. Maybe for the first game, give him a couple extra practices, but no way he sits 2 of the next 3 games.
I don't think so. Otherwise, you're sitting there being like, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Well, also, something to take into account as well is yesterday's game was postponed up against Hartford, and I'm not sure when Belleville's next game is.
I've got that up right now. They've got a long road trip up ahead. December 10th at Providence. They're on the bus there right now.
Right,
then,
yep.
What logo is this? Oh, Bridgeport Sound.
No longer the Sound Tigers. They're the Islanders now.
Because everyone thought that it was a Sound Tiger. Like that was the name of the team, but it's Bridgeport Sound is the name of the place. So that confusion was enough.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's clearing it up for me, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's a such thing as a Sound Tiger.
There is not, no.
But... is there such thing as a Belleville Senator? You're damn right there is, and that's where Belleville will be playing on Sunday. Then next Wednesday, they're playing at Philadelphia against the Phantoms, and then at Syracuse on December 17th. So they're going on a week-long road trip, and that's mainly why Kevin Mandolese got called up. But let's continue on JBD before we move too quickly into the other lineup notes, and Kristin Shilton coming up soon on today's show as well. Packed show, considering there's not much in Sens land until the game on Saturday, right? There's such a busy stretch here. I know I slept well after last night. You know, it's been game on, game on, game on ever since. But what are you expecting to see from JBD? He's 2 games into his season. He got the assist in the win against Pittsburgh. And, oh, yeah, we don't talk about the other game he played in. But, Pilsy, what are you expecting from JBD?
It's going to be interesting to see how DJ uses him, right? Like, I think DJ's getting a little bit more comfortable with splitting Chabot and Zub up, right? Like, they've been split up for the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
He's getting more comfortable with Zaitsev, with Chabot. So I don't think we're going to see JBD up there. So I guess that leaves him on the bottom pair with Hetherington, right? Which I think also might be a good move because they have chemistry from playing in Belleville. And And I don't think you want to push JBD into too big of a role right now. I think a third pairing role, just get him, like 13 to 15 minutes a night, I think would be solid, and see how he does, especially like you just mentioned, they're going up against some heavy hitting teams from the Florida Sunshine State. So you don't want to overwhelm him either. I don't think he's quite at a point where he's ready to make that leap to the NHL. This is kind of we'll give you a taste here and there, and then we're going to really see what you can do when and if, hopefully, Belleville's playing in meaningful games down the stretch. So I think a third pair role is probably the right spot for him in this little span.
From talking to people around Belleville, they think that it's crucial they get at least 3 out of 4 points here on this road trip. So
yeah, that weekend against the Moose was tough for them, Ross. Dropping both games, that was tough.
Yes, and they're going to be without Roby Jarventi for the next extended period of time. I'm not sure exactly when he leaves to World Juniors. We know Ridley Gregg and Hockey Canada starts their selection camp today out in Alberta, but I'm not sure when Team Finland is recalling their guys. However, right now, Belleville sits in 6th place, 2 points behind the Marlies, but the Marlies have 3 games in hand on them. It's a tight middle of the pack North Division, and it would start off with a great win against the Providence Bruins, another really good team this year down in the minors. But it would be just so good for Ottawa to have some sort of success. They've been robbed of it twice now down in Belleville. No playoffs last year, and then COVID shutting down what would have been a Calder.
They weren't making the playoffs last year.
Well, if it was a normal season, the way they were playing in the second half, they certainly would have given themselves...
If they had the runway, yeah, that's fair.
Exactly. So, that being said, Mando joining the team. He played 3 games down in Atlanta, hot Atlanta. So he took in an Atlanta Falcons game too. Got to get a lay of the land while he's down there. 0-3, however, he did have a .917 save percentage. So not too bad there. Good enough to get the call back up and support Matt Murray and Mad Sogard in their quest for some victory. Pilsy, a word from our friends at Stat Hero.
Stat Hero is so cool, guys. Like, this is a whole new concept that they're bringing out, and I gotta jump on this because, as you know, my parlays haven't exactly been doing great. So a new way to play daily fantasy sports is Stat Hero. Check this out, guys. Traditional fantasy sports are a long-term losing proposition because you never know who or what you're up against. It's just, I hope my team is going to be better than all the 10,000 other teams that you're up against. Well, Stat Hero is the first of its kind in daily fantasy sports where it's you versus the house. Winner take all. Head-to-head matchups. And this is the crazy part. Stat Hero, they don't have to do this, but they're trying to make things more enticing. They show you their lineup before you play. So you can see their lineup and be like, ooh, I got to beat these guys. How am I going to pick better than them? This is never seen before innovation of a fantasy sports and sports betting hybrid that Stat Hero players clocking odds that are over 4 times better. So not only do you get to see what you're up against, but you can make the odds even better because you don't have to compete up against thousands of experts or unknown fans. Stat Hero puts you in control of your fate. With Stat Hero, you control the stakes. So let's say maybe you're up against a tough lineup and you think, I might not beat them. Maybe I'll just bet a couple shekels here. Or you're like, oh, wow, that's a weak lineup. I'm beating that. Then bet the house. Let's go. Stat Hero head-to-head is what daily fantasy should be. Mano a mano. And there's weekly events, guys, that are happening at Stat Hero. And let's just toss up the lineup that I'm going to be up against tonight. This is the matchup. They have Matthews, Meyer, and Josie here. So that's going to be a tough one for me to beat. So I'm going to have to take a look and see what guys I'm going to pick to beat that matchup. And you can as well. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/hockey and use the promo code hockey for a 100% deposit match. That's wild. Like, bingo, bango, bongo, you put $100 in and you get $100 back. That's incredible. So stathero.com/hockey. Use promo code hockey for 100% match. stathero.com/hockey. Promo code hockey. Terms and conditions apply.
Pilsy, this is the time of year where products like to make a name for themselves. And I know I've been hearing a lot about Stance Apparel. They just launched their new line of active apparel and they make great gifts. I'm wearing them right now. They're incredibly comfortable. They have socks, shirts, joggers, and hoodies. Stance is so much better than boring old socks, underwear, apparel. We used to have to settle for that back in the day. But Stance changed that mindset by offering color, comfort, and creativity like no other. Founded in 2009. So they've been around for a while, Stance apparel represents a radical reinvention of socks, underwear, and active apparel with a sharp focus on comfort, quality, and creativity. Stance brings an atypical aesthetic alongside some of pop culture's hottest collaborators for the ultimate in style and self-expression. They collaborated with the Wu-Tang Clan, Batman, Star Wars, The Office. It's all about style and self-expression because everything you wear should be a direct extension of who you are and how you feel. Stance believes that the perfect fit matters more than fitting in. Let that sink in. That's deep. The perfect fit matters more than fitting in. That those who feel good do good. Go see for yourself. Register for an account at stance.com and get 15% off your first purchase. They know you'll love it, so use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout to apply. Enjoy the color and comfort of a life less ordinary with Stance. And let us know how you like Stance. Shoot us a message at Send Central and use that promo code for us. Locked On at checkout, 15% off. Pilsy, I like Stance a lot. And I'm going to take a stance that this was a great interview with Kristin Shilton. We also have a lot more to get into when you look at what the Senators' lines look like at practice today. But before we get to that, here is our interview with ESPN NHL reporter. It's Kristin Shilton. All right, we now welcome a very special guest, a former teammate of mine at TSN. She spent 5 years there covering the blue team before taking her reporting talents to ESPN. It's a pleasure to welcome Kristin Shilton to Locked On Senators. How are you doing today, Kristin?
I'm good, thanks. I'm very happy to be here with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes, we're going to go in depth on the Senators' depth chart, so gear up for that. No. There is a ton we want to get into with you. We always like rewinding the clock all the way back. How did you fall in love with the game of hockey?
Oh my goodness. I was very fortunate that I had a mother who loved hockey. She was a Leaf season ticket holder when she was a teenager. And I just have so many memories growing up of her just yelling at the TV and thinking, what is this crazy person talking about? Why is she so mad? I was very confused by the rules of hockey in the beginning. I didn't understand. I thought you only went to the penalty box if you were like a bad guy. So when I thought good guys were in there, I was very confused. But that's really what made me love it, was that it was something that every time I watched a hockey game, it was something new. And as a kid, that was very exciting. So as I got older and learned the game and I understood more and more of it, my mom really helped me to appreciate the game and everything. I got tremendous opportunities throughout my career and my life to be around hockey, and I wouldn't be the person I am today without it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, having season tickets for the Leafs is something very special that not everybody gets to have growing up. So that's definitely a good way to get into hockey for sure. Now, did anyone in your family play hockey, like brothers, sisters, uncles, or yourself even, that kind of really sparked that? Or was it just your mom's fandom that really did it all?
You know, my mom loved hockey because her dad loved it. And it was something, she has two sisters, so it was something for them to bond over. And I had the same question. I was like, how did everyone in our family love hockey, but no one played it? Literally, I very badly played goal.
Nice. This is a
goalie-friendly show. Absolutely. Let's go.
But on a very minor, very mediocre level. So other than that, no, we never had anyone who played it. There was never even a big push for it because equipment's expensive. Obviously, growing up a single mom, she wasn't going to be we played baseball because that was just what we could do as kids, but watching it was such a family activity. Like everyone, and you guys probably know this, like 7:00 on a Saturday, you weren't doing anything else. Everybody was watching the TV. And so it was a big thing bonding my family, but no, we never had, there's been, other than one cousin, I think, who played more competitively, no one has ever played it. I mean, skating even in my family is pretty non-existent. So we just love the game.
So we won't see you out there doing any interviews at the All-Star game like Pierre McGuire used to do, skating around?
Oh, I would love it. I mean, I can skate. I can
Nice.
skate, but just, shooting, you know how people think, oh, you watch an athlete do something and they make everything look effortless. If you've ever tried to use like a hockey player, an NHL player's stick with that flex, and you've ever tried to shoot that puck with any kind of accuracy, that's what I want to see from reporters. I want reporters on the ice at the All-Star game shooting with like Zdeno Chara's flex. And
the media All-Star game. That's actually a great idea.
I would watch that.
You get a comparison like, all right, everyone at home, you think you can also take a 100-mile slapper? Well, we got Kristen Shilton here. Let's see how she does.
It's like to see the players critiquing media All-Star game. I want them on the bench being like, what is Shilton doing? Like, we're up there judging them every night. I want to see the judge.
It's fair. It's fair.
It's the extension of the evergreen Olympic idea that one lane has to be an average Joe, just for comparison's sake.
Just so that what would I be doing in this situation? Because I see someone run a marathon, I'm like, you're not running that fast. I mean, it just looks normal speed on TV, but then I, would actually be, in a ditch somewhere and probably throwing up. So
favorite goalie all time, as we can't gloss over the fact that you're a member of our goalie friendly union.
It's gotta be Cujo or Potvin. It was the cat was such, but then I feel like I remember more of Cujo.
Yeah, so sort of Sens fans.
Yeah.
Yes.
You do. Have you read his book? Oh, there's some good
No,
stuff in there.
I haven't, but I do know Felix Potvin always had unreal gear wherever he was. He was always, the cat, the mask, everything to do with it. Now, I'm sure that's how Pilsy and I were attracted to the position, was the gear, but into sports broadcasting and looking through your resume, you've done pretty much everything in the industry. What was the initial spark? Was it just a love of the game, or was it more watching people on TV and saying like, I want to do that?
It's funny when opportunity is presented to you and you just kind of take it because it's the best option that you have at the time. And it rolls into being something bigger than you ever thought. Like I went to school at Syracuse for my master's, and I thought I'm probably going to get into football because if I want to stay in the US, there just wasn't, even when was this, like 8 years ago, there just wasn't a ton of hockey jobs. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do football. And then an AHL team, offered me an internship, and I was like, well, to do hockey, like I truly thought that I would never get into hockey broadcasting in Canada because there were no women doing it. Like it was such a barren landscape for women. I wanted to set myself up for success. I didn't want to try to do something I wasn't going to be able to get my foot into. So I took the risk. I took the job in the AHL in Chicago. And from there, everything snowballed. And the love that I had for the game, the desire that I had for sports journalism was always there. But believing I could succeed in hockey took longer just because of my own, I think, insecurities, that because women weren't really prevalent in the Canadian broadcasting field, I thought, I don't think I'm going to make it. And then once I got into it and people kept telling me, no, you should try, a little bit of reinforcement just pushed me to, actually pursue what I wanted instead of settling for another sport that I wasn't nearly as passionate about.
Definitely. And I mean, it's definitely something that's growing in this industry. We just had Cheryl Pounder on our show last week. Oh, she's the best. And I mean, I think if you took 5 seconds to search Cheryl Pounder on Twitter, almost all the responses are all the Sens fans being like, where have you been this whole time? We love you as an analyst. And now, yesterday, she did the color commentating for the game. And of course, she knocked that out of the park as well. So there's, and that's the thing. Like, I think it's great that women like you, like her, are taking these chances and being like, no, like we can succeed in these positions as well. And you're thriving clearly as you're heading over to ESPN. Now, it wasn't, like you said, you didn't always think you'd be covering hockey. You've went from football, you've done multiple different roles in this industry. You were at TSN working with Ross. I don't know how you put up with him every day. It's crazy.
It was very difficult.
Yes, yeah, and I can attest to that as well. But you've come a long way, and you've had to do a bunch of different roles. What was kind of, maybe not the biggest spotlight or the best paying job or anything like that? What was the area where you had the most fun? Like you were thriving and you just felt like, yeah, I really do belong in this industry, whether it's football, hockey, whatever, just the broadcasting industry.
Oh, I think the most I'm the type of person where the most fun that I have is usually when it's the most challenging thing.
Okay.
When I'm really outside of my comfort zone, because I find that to be fun. I think that pushing your limits is the best way to kind of let loose almost, because if you don't know if you're going to succeed at it, then you really have no expectations. So I think the most fun that I ever had was probably the first job that I had in the AHL, just because I went into it not really knowing exactly what I was going to do. And everybody there is so young, so hungry. We were all like 22 years old, and everybody just was willing to try new things. We were creative. We were pushing boundaries. We had crazy ideas that we actually made happen. And so that was really fun from a creative standpoint. And then in broadcasting, though, I'll be honest, when I was at Syracuse, I'm sure that if you looked back at the tapes, you would think, no way is this woman ever going to make it in broadcasting, because I was like a deer in the headlights. You put a camera on me and I forgot my own name. And so coming to TSN, again, I didn't really have any idea if I could be successful at it. So I just kind of threw myself into it. There's the first time I ever did a live TV hit in Philadelphia, being chirped by a sea of fans who were all just yelling TSN this, TSN that, and I'm like, my knees are knocking together. I'm so nervous, but at the same time, it was the most exhilarating feeling in the entire world.
Definitely.
Because it's so much. And from that point on, I think that was my first or second year. From that point on, the most fun I ever had was TSN, because it was just, again, pushing boundaries, be creative. What do you want to do? And this medium, podcasting and radio and broadcasting, it's different. Writing's my first love, but broadcasting is a lot of fun because, we're just having a conversation and it's so accessible and everyone can join in. And that's what I think makes it fun. And covering the Leafs, wow, do people really love or hate that team? There is no in between. You are not a gray area supporter of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Either you want to stab everyone's eyes out or you want to stab your own eyes out because of what you just witnessed. So that's really the most fun.
Well, and that's why you got the job with ESPN as well. So what's been the biggest transition working ESPN? I know you're still based in Toronto right now.
Yes. The biggest transition is that for 5 years, I was so locked in to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I was not as aware of the ins and outs of every NHL team. So coming onto this job, when you're an NHL reporter, you really have to know every single team as well as you can. And now the struggle with that is that a team or a fan of a team that's been entrenched in just that team mostly for like 20 years is gonna have a very different perspective of that team than I do. So when I do my power rankings every Wednesday and I say I'm surprised by this, or this player has surprised me, or maybe this player hasn't met the expectation, I get a lot of messages from people that are like, well, what are you talking about? Like, what about this from 5 years ago? Or like this that happened, even last summer. And I'm like, I get it. You see your team in a different light than I do as a reporter on all 32 teams. And that's been the biggest transition, is trying to capture each team as well as I feel like I was able to capture the Leafs. But it doesn't happen overnight. You can't download all of that information super quickly. So I love writing long form pieces. I love looking at the bigger picture. But the biggest challenge and transition is trying to get to know every team on the deepest level that you can, so that you can bring the most to everything that you're working on. And that's obviously going to be an ongoing process for me as I continue getting that feedback and just having, great, happy conversations in my Twitter mentions from satisfied customers every Wednesday who have looked at power rankings.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the big difference too, especially when you're coming from Toronto, where you can't make it 10 steps on the sidewalk without hearing someone chatter about the Leafs. The radio's on, everybody, like, it's all that's talked about. So when you going from like the center of the universe topic that you're covering to now a widespread topic, it's going to be hard to get a feel for all those other teams. So that's definitely something I think everyone can appreciate. And speaking of talking about different teams, and throw a Sens tie in this here a little, you recently wrote an article about Matt Duchene, and it was a great article, very in-depth, like you're talking about. You want to try to get to know what's going on behind the scenes here. What was your biggest takeaway from that Matt Duchene article? Because I thought it was very interesting, especially from a Sens fan's perspective, because when he was brought in, this was the
Wheels
Sens. This was the Sens pushing all their chips in. They're saying, we're all in. We've got our number one center. There's no doubt about it. He's going to put up points and everything's going to work. We're going to make it past the conference finals next year now that we have this piece. And then, as Ross mentioned, the rails fell off, but not due to any fault of Matt Duchene. Like, he was almost a point per game guy in his time in an Ottawa Senators uniform. So technically the trade did sort of work out. Like, they got what they bargained for. It's just the rest of the franchise fell apart. So it's really interesting to see now Matt Duchene then struggle in Nashville, but then this season he's figured it all out. So what was your takeaway as to how he was able to do that, especially as he gets older?
And just quickly, he's third all time in Sens history in points per game. Like that's unbelievable. He was amazing.
Yeah.
But they won like 20% of the games.
None of those games meant anything.
No.
That was, I think, an interesting chapter probably for him. And we didn't even get into that so much in the article because there was so much to cover just from recently. But my biggest takeaway was for a player to admit that they knew that they had issues that they had to discuss, that they knew that it was holding them back, that they could be better if they just finally addressed some of their own, personal issues. I think that takes it's so hard to admit that. It's hard to admit that to yourself. It's hard to admit it publicly. And then to really just say, something was holding me back. Because there was such expectation for Matt Duchene when he was deciding where he wanted to go. I mean, the Senators, I thought he played, obviously, as we've said, he was a good Senator. He came in, he did what was promised in the trade, and to go to Nashville, the splashy contract signing, and then to fall so far short of where he was in Ottawa and just the expectation, you have to look at yourself in the mirror then and say, this is not who I want to be. And I think all of us as humans can take that and just say, yeah, we've all been there. Everyone has to take stock eventually. So I really took that. And I think more and more players, honestly, are being willing to not just admit to going down that path, but actually doing it. And that's why we see so many sports psychologists now on teams and players who are maybe not open about what they're struggling with, but at least open about the fact that they're struggling in some capacity. So I think for Duchene, when you take that weight off your shoulders and you say, hey, you know what, they're going to judge me based on goals, points, and assists, no matter what else is going on. So I'm just going to do me and I'm going to worry about me. And to admit that too, in the very team focused sport of hockey, and say, hey, you know what's good for me is actually good for the team, but it's also good for me. I think that's okay. I think it's okay to say, hey, you know what, I want what's good for me. I want my minutes. I want to be out there. I want to get my points. I want to do what's good for me too. So that's really, it was a very mature conversation from, I think, a player that's not afraid to, at this stage, speak up and say, hey, you know what? I know why I'm here and this is the path that I want to take.
I'm noticing a little insider trading here though, because your power rankings that come out every Wednesday, ESPN.com, not a big deal, ESPN, but you had Matt Duchene's breakout as your surprise in your power rankings today as Nashville moved up to 18th. You talked about how they like to be nitpicked by fans of each team. We won't point out that the Senators were 29th. However, what's been your number one surprise overall in the National Hockey League this season?
I think I may have even mentioned it in the power rankings. My biggest surprise of the season has got to be the Calgary Flames. I think they're the most surprising team in terms of what the expectation was, not just for me, but league-wide. And then the way that they have come out and I think just dominated so many different categories. They're not a one-note team. I mean, Andrew Mangiapane, what's happening there? Like, where did that come from? And you've got Markstrom in net. You've got Daryl Sutter with the buy-in to play the strong defensive game. A little bit of a parallel, I suppose, with the Leafs, where it was a little bit of a stutter step out of the gate trying to get the system down, the defensive system, and then the goals started coming, and then it's a deluge, and you're getting this terrific goaltending. And I thought maybe Flames are on the bubble. Maybe they'll make playoffs. And now you're thinking to yourself, like, are we going to see them in, like, the Western Conference Final? Like, what's happening? Who's going to, slow them down? So I really have thought that they've been a surprise. And maybe on the other side of that, there's some teams that let's just talk about Ottawa. I really thought that there was going to be more to what they were doing at this point in the season. I thought that they had so many good pieces there. I thought Brady Tkachuk signs, that's going to give them a boost. Did not see the Matt Murray demotion and the play leading up to it coming, but the COVID issues, I think, have maybe created more surprises for some teams. And then just, the expectations maybe were a little overwrought after a season where everybody only played 6 teams. Maybe that affected how we viewed some clubs over another. But I would say the Calgary Flames have been the most pleasant surprise for me. And it's great to see just, another Canadian team kind of in that mix and pushing even in the US markets where, where people are talking about them.
And there's American stars on all these Canadian teams. Like you mentioned, Calgary with Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau, and there's Blake Wheeler with the Winnipeg Jets, and so on and so forth. Brady Tkachuk, and it goes down the list. So it's great to see some more national attention, and give me all the Daryl Sutter press conferences. So the more that they're in the spotlight, the happier I am too, Pills.
Oh my goodness! When I first started out covering the LA Kings, I was like, Daryl, is this just me? Am I the reason that you give a 5-word answer to everything? It was nerve-wracking to ask this man a question. I asked him once about Jerome McGinley, and when Jerome McGinley signed there, and it was a very innocuous, like, so what do you think that you're getting in him? Well, I just answered that. And I was like, well, no, this is the first question in the press. He's like, no, I answered it to someone else before. And I was like, oh, I'll go look it up. You know what? Don't worry about it. I'll just go find that out. And I'm never asking you another question. So I love it though now. It's fun.
Yeah, that is an intimidating man. And I can see why when he's brought in the Calgary Flames, it's no coincidence that things got turned around real quick when he's steering the ship here. Now, thanks so much for joining us, Kristen. I just have one last question before we go here, a bit of a fun one. Now, can you give us your official Stanley Cup prediction? And as a little side note here, maybe more importantly, is this the year the Leafs can finally win a single playoff round?
Oh,
this is the headline. Watch your words.
My favorite question. Yes, I'm on record saying
this is the year?
The Maple Leafs will win a playoff round. You heard it here first, December 8th. I'm saying it because if they don't, I just don't want to talk about it anymore. Like, for my sanity, they need to win just one. I don't know if they're going to go any further than that, but please let's just say they're going to win one so that we can talk about how they can't get past the second round.
Yep.
So yes, there's that one. My Stanley Cup prediction, I struggle with a little bit because I know in my heart kind of where I want to go with it. And I want to say the Florida Panthers. And I want to say the Florida Panthers because
you want to travel to Florida to cover the finals. We know where you're
going. Yeah, that's a good call. Good call.
My bosses are listening to this podcast.
Yes.
So for me, it's been a back and forth. I really think that Florida has so much potential, and I think that they're such a low key team that they just are going to catch whomever it is, even though they're as good as they are. You get into playoffs, and teams can still catch you by surprise because it's just the way that the league is. I mean, with Tampa winning back-to-backs, you should probably say Tampa. Maybe that's the safest bet, but I like Florida. I think that they're built really well. I think they have so much talent throughout their ranks. I like them quite a bit. And not to say that, they're my 100% pick, but at the quarter poll, they're my pick. So let's reconvene halfway through and we'll see if that changes.
Give us a West team. It's the Panthers against...
Oh, this is
you can go back to the Flames if you want.
Flames, no. Who would be my West team?
Scrolling through the power rankings. You got the Minnesota Wild there at 7. The Edmonton Oilers
Minnesota
at
Wild,
9.
I'm not sure about, but I'm not sure if they're built to last. You know what? I am going to go Calgary. I'm going to go Calgary because I think that they're built to last. And that's
if that goaltending stays, they got a good chance.
Yeah, and that's where, for me in the West, I'll be honest, I just don't know who can stand up for the whole way through. No one's really sold me on the West except for Calgary. So we'll say quarter pole, but guys, let's talk again.
It's a perfect place to end as a goalie friendly show because, not like I'm breaking any news here, but goaltending clearly the most important element of a hockey team. And do you really trust the Minnesota Wild, the Edmonton Oilers goaltending, even Colorado? They bring in Darcy Kemper. he hasn't been able to stay healthy at all during his career. So really, how much can you lay confidence in that? But Kristin, it's been an absolute treat getting to chat with you about some more league-wide news, because again, we've been so heavily focused on this Senators stretch here of 5 games in 7 days, and we hope to do it again down the road. It's been great chatting with you, and of course, everyone's already following you on Twitter at Kristin Shilton, and reading your work at ESPN. I'm still getting used to that change, Kristin, but it's awesome for you, and we're happy to see so much success. You're a great friend, and we hope to do it again down the road. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Stick taps to Kristin for joining us. That was a great conversation, Pilsy. I feel like we got to make that maybe a monthly segment, check in around the NHL with Kristin.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's refreshing for us to, talk to someone that isn't Sens focused. And man, working at ESPN doesn't get much better than that. So it was really cool to hear her story. And I really liked her talking about when she was working in the AHL too, Ross, because we know
Wolves.
Yeah, working in the AHL is a blast. And I definitely recommend, if people are living in the Belleville area, check it out if they're hiring. And if you live near any AHL team, it's a lot of fun and you get to see some pretty damn good hockey.
Yes, exactly. The next generation per se. And it's guys who are fighting for their jobs, their careers, day in and day out. And Kristin, I mean, she made her career off of the hard work that she put in there. Of course, doing your master's at Syracuse, you're going somewhere in media as well. So she's awesome. She's smart. She's funny and a good friend. So we appreciate having her join us on the show. Pilsy, we got to get to our Senators line combos today. And not much has changed, just the defense. And we got into the moving parts. However, JBD and Del Zotto were made on the outside looking in. Pilsy, this is a little tease in the industry. As you can see the depth chart, if you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe on YouTube or wherever you download your podcast. I'm going to get your thoughts on how the decor shakes out. If you're listening, don't worry. We'll go through this in just a moment. But Pilsy, first, I need to make my beard a little less itchy. That's why I put in Primal Origin oils before I started recording, because I got beard, so I had to get Primal. You heard that right. When you have a beard, you need to get Primal. If you or someone you care about has a beard, it needs to get Primal. Maybe you're the guy who's never considered the benefits of treating your beard with product. Well, Primal Origin oils will stop the itch and make your beard look healthy and groomed. Their goal is to help others look good and live healthier lives through the use of natural oils. Their products are free from harmful synthetic ingredients, and they have a low impact on our planet. Primal Origin makes balms, oils, and whipped butter that are renowned as the best feel in beard products available. This is due to their exotic carrier blends with oils like raspberry seed, rosehip, and chia seed oils. All of these are perfectly fair trade and handcrafted in the USA. Check out primaloriginoils.com to learn more about their full line of beard care products. Use the code LOCKEDON for a 20% discount at checkout. The combo kit makes a great holiday gift, and if you're shopping for yourself, you'll be glad you did. Most companies focused on fragrance first, and that leads to products that don't feel good. So we took a step back and focused on the ingredients first. Great call. And we know that every company claims to have the best, but Primal Origin Oils challenges you to compare their ingredients and feel in beard to their other companies you've used. We promise you'll see and feel the difference. Just remember to use the code LOCKEDON. It gets you 20% off at primaloriginoils.com. Promo code LOCKEDON gets you 20% off at checkout. It's primaloriginoils.com.
Yeah, important for anyone that's got a beard, that's for sure. And anyone that's looking to get off the sidelines and get into the action, what's important for you? Check out betonline.ag today, guys. It's the trusted sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network and the Locked On Senators podcast. So, for loyal listeners, you guys, we love you. So, we're going to give you a welcome bonus. Today, sign up at betonline.ag. Use our promo code LOCKEDON, and you're going to get a 50% welcome bonus. So, put in $100, bingo, bango, bongo. You're going to get $50 in free play money. And I'm going to flip the script here a little bit, Ross, because normally I give out a Pilsy's parlay of the day, and normally it loses. So we're going to try to do something different. For all you Sens fans chirping Pilsy's parlay of the day, this guy can't hit anything. He's only won once all year. Okay, let's see you make a parlay. Go to betonline.ag, make your free account, tweet us a screenshot, or tweet me, whatever you want, a screenshot of your parlay, and let's see how you guys do. Let's see if all this talk about how crappy Pillsy's parlay of the day is, put your money where your mouth is, and let's see what you can do. So go to betonline.ag, free account, use our promo code LOCKEDON, get a 50% welcome bonus, and send me a screenshot of your betonline.ag parlay. None of this other garbage sports books. It's got to be betonline.ag, and let's see if you can back up all your talk here. So that's it. Promo code LOCKEDON, betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts.
All right, Pilsy, now we'll get to the Senators line combinations. I was quick on the draw, but here they are. Not much has changed. Norris between Tkachuk and Batherson. Stützle between Nick Paul and Connor Brown still. Tierney between Formenton and Ennis. Gambrell between Sanford and Watson. On defense, Shabbat Zaitsev, Holden Zub, and this third pair does have two changes. Mete moves from left to right to replace Lassi Thomson, and Dylan Hetherington is his partner there. So that leaves Delzato, Bernard Docker, and Adam Gaudette on the outside. Both goalies, of course, at practice. Gustafsson and Forsberg. Pilsy, reports are Delzato not very happy. Continually healthy scratch. No surprise there, although no trade request has formally been made.
Yeah, the extras are kind of funny, Ross. So you look at Gaudette, and you and I were joking. He announced that this is the best opportunity he's ever gotten. He gets in one game and then doesn't see a sniff of ice time after. Delzato signs a 2-year ticket of free agency, thinks he's landed in a good spot. Whoops. And then JBD, they call him up, and he's not even practicing in a regular pair. Like, obviously, there's lots of time till game time, so this could all switch, but it's just funny to look at those extras and put yourself in their skates for a second.
Best opportunity for Adam Gaudette. He played 8 minutes and 20 seconds and scored a goal.
And he was the cause of 2 goals against.
Yes. Anything else we want to hit on before we take off today, Pills?
Oh, yes. I'm glad you asked me. Stop giving Cody Goluboff PTOs. Like, come on, just throw the guy a bone and give him an AHL contract. Like, it doesn't even have to be NHL eligible. Just give this guy something to bank on. So I don't know if he has family or kids or whatever, but he's a gold medal, or is he a gold medalist? Yeah, he's an Olympian. I know he's an Olympian.
Because Zub's a gold medalist.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
No,
so he's an Olympian, so give him some respect, give him some kind of contract here. Like, bringing him back on PTOs over and over again, that's so disrespectful in my opinion. But because Cody Goluboff, I think that's a guy that can fit in Belleville, and they need a guy like him with all these roster moves they're making. So just get a deal done. Come on. 2018
Olympic bronze medalist. He's now coming back for his fourth stint with the Belleville Senators.
And second PTO of this year. Like, come on.
Hey, 1 goal in 2 games.
Yeah.
That's almost an Adam Gaudette stat line. So as it stands right now, a little trivia for you. How many players in Senators history, we'll leave off with this, how many players in Sens history have scored at a goal per game pace?
Oh, actually, no. Not Parker Kelly anymore. Parker Kelly was the trivia question. Ross, I don't even like saying this guy's name. Do I have to say his name?
Yeah, just for this.
Patrick Seeloff, or that is his name, right? Patrick?
Yeah.
He essentially kind of ruined Grizz's career. So that's,
I was at that skate.
When they're on the same team, I should mention also.
It was an open scrimmage in training camp, and he absolutely dummied Clark MacArthur. So yeah, that's one. And the other one?
Parker Kelly was the only other guy that I knew, so I don't know.
You had to be paying attention for your own show, and you would have known.
Gaudette.
Adam Gaudette! 1 game, 1 goal. Awesome. Great way to end that off. Patrick Seeloff and Adam Gaudette, the 2 players in Senators history who have scored at a goal per game. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have a full preview of a busy weekend in Sensland with the Belleville Senators. A big weekend from them, Friday and Sunday, both on the road, and your Ottawa Senators hosting the back-to-back Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday afternoon. So, hope you enjoyed our chat with Kristin Shelton. We'll chat tomorrow. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.